Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared as the Varkan Dominion fleet broke through the amber haze surrounding Saturn. To the Admiral's eyes, the gas giant's ring shimmered like a trophy awaiting rightful ownership. Betrayal had marked his rise. His predecessor's death still whispered through the ranks, but claiming Saturn's moons would secure his legacy forever. The fleet's formation tightened around Titan, their scanners sweeping the methane clouds. Resource veins blazed across their displays. To the Admiral, it was a promise. Fuel, metals, dominion. "This system sleeps," he muttered. "We shall wake it under Varkan rule." Orbital rigs descended into Titan's atmosphere, cutting through the orange fog with surgical beams. Drill heads ignited against the crust, melting ice and silencing storm winds. "Report," the Admiral ordered. "Stable progress. Titan is compliant," replied Captain Razek. The Admiral allowed a cold smile. No resistance, no hidden threats, no human presence, only the remnants of a long-dead species whose homeworld lay abandoned and irrelevant. He gazed toward the gas giant. "Begin extraction. Claim this world." Titan rumbled beneath them, but the vibration was dismissed as a tectonic disturbance. Nothing more. 3 kilometers below Titan's crust, the extraction drills struck something unnatural. "Sir, we've hit structures." The Admiral leaned forward. "Clarify." The feed flickered, revealing metallic corridors, perfect geometric angles, and symbols etched into the walls. Ancient? Impossible. Captain Razek zoomed the image. The markings were unmistakable. Even the Varkan History Councils taught the symbol in their mockery-filled lessons. A blue circle crossed by a white line. Earth's mark. "Artifacts," Razek said. "Perhaps from the extinct human species." "Catalog and melt them down," the Admiral snapped. "Debris has no value." But as the rigs dug deeper, faint pulses began echoing through the ice. The Admiral watched the seismic readings climb. "That's not natural," Razek whispered. The pulses aligned with a pattern. A countdown. The Admiral felt unease coil inside his stomach, an emotion he had buried decades ago. "Deactivate the pulses," he ordered. "Sir, they're not ours to deactivate." Before he could reply, the ice lit from below, bathing the cavern in white. Something beneath Titan had awakened, and it was responding to their intrusion. The awakened structures rose from beneath Titan like colossal metallic ribs. They unfolded, shedding ice as if breathing for the first time in millennia. "Transmit all data to the flagship," the Admiral commanded. Every ship received the same message. Signal detected. Origin, Earth Defense Network. Razek stared in disbelief. "Sir, these systems shouldn't exist. Humanity never reached this far." "Records say they perished," the Admiral answered, voice tightening. But the beacons brightened, projecting lines of code into the atmosphere, untranslated, hostile in tone. Humanity had built this, and they had hidden it well. Orbital scanners detected more anomalies. Small metallic structures buried across Titan's surface in symmetrical patterns. "It's a grid," Razek muttered. "A weapon grid," the Admiral corrected. The beacons aligned with each other, aiming upward like predatory eyes opening. A tremor rippled across the moon. "Admiral, the system is arming itself." The Admiral felt the first true crack of fear. "Pull back our drilling teams, now!" But it was already too late. Titan had no moon of resources. It was a dormant fortress, and they had just turned the key. Black towers erupted from Titan's surface, launching through the atmosphere with impossible velocity. They unfolded in orbit like skeletal flowers, guns, massive, ancient, and unmistakably human-made. The Admiral's screen filled with targeting lines. "They're scanning us," Razek said. "No," the admiral replied, breath hitching. "They're judging us." A piercing tone echoed across every frequency. Earth defense platform, Titan. Status, hostile presence detected. Then the guns moved, smooth, deliberate, alive. The admiral had seen many weapon systems. None behaved like these. None chose their targets. The first shot carved silently through space, splitting cruiser Halvac into incandescent fragments. The admiral's composure shattered. "Evasive, scatter the fleet." The guns rotated seamlessly, tracking fleeing ships with cold precision. "This is impossible," Razek whispered. "These weapons survived millennia. Functioning perfectly?" The admiral stared at the holographic Earth symbol glowing across the guns' hulls. Humanity was supposed to be dust, yet their legacy fired upon his fleet with surgical rage. "Activate shields," he commanded, though he knew shields would not save them. Titan had taken its first shot, and it would not stop. Debris drifted past the flagship's windows, burning metal, shattered hulls, oxygen crystallizing into glittering vapor. The admiral stood rigid, unable to deny the truth forming like ice in his veins. "This was planned," he whispered. "A trap built ages ago." Razek approached, voice trembling. "Sir, Titan's guns are rearranging again. New targets." "Which ones?" A pause. "Us." The admiral's throat tightened. He had underestimated the dead, or perhaps humanity was not dead at all. "Prepare counterfire," he barked. "We can't get a lock. Their jamming is rewriting our systems." The admiral watched the guns reorient in perfect formation. Humanity had built this moon into a silent sentinel, waiting, listening, calculating. He felt something unfamiliar. Not anger, not ambition, but dread. "What if this was never meant for us?" he murmured. "What if humanity expected someone worse?" A fresh beam sliced past the flagship, grazing its shields. The admiral steadied himself. "Very well. If Titan seeks war, we shall answer." The fleet veered from Titan, leaving trails of fire and smoke as beams carved through their formations. The admiral gripped the console. "This is not a skirmish. It's a trial." Captain Razek's voice trembled. "We can't predict their targeting algorithms. Every move we make, they anticipate." The admiral's mind raced. Ancient strategy manuals offered no guidance. "Pull beyond ring orbit, initiate stealth maneuvers, hide in the shadow of Saturn's rings," he commanded. Titan's surface remained calm, almost serene, but the lingering pulse of its guns whispered, "We are waiting." Every evasive maneuver strained the fleet's systems. Engines groaned, shields flickered, and communications stuttered under invisible interference. The admiral stared at the readings. Titan's energy signatures were rising. Its core, methane, ice, and human ingenuity was alive, adapting to their every tactic. "Sir, the beacons. They're tracking our fleet in real time," Razek reported. The admiral exhaled. Fear had no place in Varkan doctrine, yet it clawed at his chest. "This moon was never abandoned," he whispered. "And now," Razek added, voice hollow, "we're the first prey it has chosen." High above Titan, reconnaissance drones captured images of subterranean networks. Geometric perfection, patterns spanning hundreds of kilometers. "Sir, these are not mere weapons," Razek said. "This is a command center." The admiral's eyes narrowed. A command center for what? Or whom? Humanity was supposed to be extinct, scattered to myths and tombstones. Yet the signals pulsing from beneath Titan defied logic. Every orbital gun, every beacon, every trace of energy responded as if following a thought. And that thought was not theirs. "Analyze their code," the admiral ordered. The engineers' consoles hummed, streams of alien code clashing with fragments of human encryption. "Impossible," one whispered. "These programs evolve as we study them." The admiral slammed his fist. "We will not be outmaneuvered by ghosts." But Titan's response was instantaneous. A series of kinetic projectiles cut through space, threading between their ships with deadly precision. The admiral felt the first pangs of panic. "We assumed humanity was history," he muttered, "and yet history itself is shooting at us." Titan pulsed again, and this time the fleet detected something new. Faint electromagnetic chatter, structured, deliberate. Razek leaned closer. "It's not just weapons. It's communication." The admiral's stomach tightened. Humans communicating from a moon buried under ice for centuries? "Attempt to decipher," he commanded. "Every frequency, every pulse. I want a translation." The crew worked frantically, their alien minds struggling with human ingenuity that had survived in silence. And as the code unraveled slightly, a chilling message became clear. "You are not welcome." The fleet's systems began behaving unpredictably. Shields flickered, thrusters misfired, navigation arrays spun erratically. "Sir, the signals, they're adapting to our defenses," Razek reported. The admiral's arrogance, cultivated over decades, faltered. Humanity had built a self-aware network beneath Titan, learning from every move, anticipating every countermeasure. Titan's surface glimmered with unseen energy as orbital guns shifted position. The admiral clenched his jaw. "We will not retreat forever. Find their weaknesses." But even as the command left his lips, he realized this was no ordinary battle. Titan was a chessboard, and they were already several moves behind. Desperate, the admiral ordered his fleet to deploy experimental disruptor pulses. Beams lanced toward Titan, designed to scramble orbital weapons, sever communications, and collapse targeting arrays. At first, it seemed effective. Sensors blinked, guns faltered, pulses wavered. The admiral allowed himself a flicker of hope. But Titan adapted. New channels opened, hidden conduits activated. The orbital guns reoriented, not disrupted, but optimized. Each disruptor shot became a test, feeding the moon's AI with data. The admiral's confidence began to crack. "Sir, they're learning faster than we can fire," Razek warned. The admiral swallowed. Fear gnawed at him, a rare companion in his calculated life. "What are they planning?" he asked almost aloud. "Retaliation," Razek answered grimly. "And not just at the fleet. At the extraction sites, the rigs, everything." Titan's ice shimmered with latent energy, hiding an arsenal decades in the making. The admiral stared at the moon, at the human legacy he had dismissed. A creeping realization settled over him. They had walked into humanity's first strike without even knowing it. And the strike had already begun. A pulse of light erupted from Titan's surface, followed by a ripple of destruction through the fleet's peripheral ships. The admiral's console lit with cascading alerts: breaches, hull failures, navigation collapses. The orbital guns, now fully operational, fired with precision that no Varkan calculations could predict. Razek staggered. "They're targeting us, personally." Titan's beacons glowed like ancient eyes, assessing, calculating, executing. The admiral's pride, carefully cultivated over decades, burned away in seconds, replaced by a raw, icy dread. They had underestimated the dead. Shrapnel rained past the flagship, cutting through armor, ripping communications, igniting fuel lines. The admiral gritted his teeth. "Form defensive arrays. Protect the extraction units." It was useless. Each maneuver was anticipated. Each defensive measure neutralized. Titan's surface shimmered again, revealing hidden launch silos and laser conduits emerging from the ice. "This is humanity's vengeance," Razek whispered. The admiral's hands shook. He had expected resistance, maybe insurgents or rogue machines, but not a ghost fleet resurrected as a weapon. Titan was no longer just a moon. It was humanity's first counterstrike platform, and they were standing directly in its crosshairs. Shields flared, and sparks danced across the hulls as Titan's guns cut through formation lines. The Admiral's fleet scattered into chaotic orbits, every evasive maneuver feeding the moon's sensors. "Sir, we're losing cohesion," Razek shouted. The Admiral clenched the console. "Adapt. Predict their patterns." But prediction was futile. The guns were learning faster than any algorithm the Varkans had developed. Titan had become a sentient battlefield, its icy surface concealing centuries of strategy, and every shot brought the fleet closer to annihilation. Fragments of destroyed ships tumbled past, illuminated by burning plasma. Engineering reports: multiple warp engines offline. Weapons arrays unstable, a technician reported. The Admiral's stomach churned. He had underestimated the human legacy, the precision, the patience embedded in Titan's design. "This is not war," he murmured. "This is judgment." He gripped the console, forcing a command. "Prepare countermeasures, electronic scramblers, pulse cannons, everything. Nothing leaves Titan unscathed." But even as he spoke, a hidden cannon unleashed a barrage through the void. Every beam calculated, every trajectory perfected. Titan was alive, and it knew them intimately. Recon drones captured glimpses beneath Titan's ice. Tunnels, nodes, and subterranean arrays stretching for kilometers. "Sir, there's more than weapons here," Razek said. "It's a neural network, a control matrix." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. The human species, though extinct, or so they believed, had transformed Titan into a sentinel, a silent observer, a weaponized mind. "Can it communicate?" he asked, unease threading his voice. "Already. Every action we take feeds it data. It adapts faster than our fastest processors." For the first time, he understood. They were not just attacking the fleet. They were rewriting the very battlefield itself. Orbital scans showed the network's reach extending beyond Titan's immediate surface. Signals pulsed through Saturn's magnetosphere, synchronizing hidden installations on nearby moons. "Sir, they're coordinating," Razek said. "Dion, Rhea, all responding." The Admiral's jaw tightened. Every moon became a node, a relay in a web designed to trap them. "Evacuate non-essential ships," he barked. "We focus fire on Titan directly." But even as the fleet adjusted, Titan's defenses shifted seamlessly, anticipating the counterattack. It was no longer a fight. They were being studied, manipulated, and punished by an intelligence born from humanity's ashes. In the flagship's war room, engineers raced to decode Titan's transmissions. "Sir, its predictive algorithms are quantum entangled with our systems," one reported. The Admiral's eyes widened. Quantum adaptation, human ingenuity amplified over centuries of secrecy. "Every maneuver we execute already anticipates. Every shield adjustment, every evasive thrust," Razek said. The Admiral leaned against the console, face pale. "We are playing into a trap centuries in the making. Humanity anticipated our arrogance." For the first time, the Varkan doctrine of supremacy faltered under the weight of a species long presumed extinct. "Sir, suggestion," Razek ventured. "Perhaps a feigned retreat, baited into exposing a vulnerability." The Admiral shook his head. "Too many unknowns. Titan controls the environment, controls our systems, controls the fight itself." On the view screen, orbital guns pivoted almost casually, tracking even the smallest debris fragments. A human emblem glowed faintly on their hulls, a silent reminder of who had built this nightmare. The Admiral's mind raced, calculating impossible scenarios. Every option ended with losses, catastrophic losses. Yet retreat without purpose would mean annihilation. Titan was both chessboard and executioner. Below the icy crust, hidden machinery hummed in synchronized rhythm. Razek watched the scans, pale. "Sir, Titan is using the very moon's gravity against us. Orbital vectors are being manipulated." The Admiral's hands clenched. He had expected war, not physics turned into a weapon. "Adjust trajectories," he ordered, though every adjustment was anticipated. The fleet twisted through Saturn's rings like trapped prey, trying to dodge invisible snares. Titan's ice shimmered as if mocking them, radiating power older than the Varkan Empire itself. A warning pulse shook the flagship. "Sir." Orbital cannons locked on again. They fired. Beams tore through the void, slicing through space between ships, severing engines, vaporizing hulls. The admiral felt rage and despair entwined. They had not just underestimated humanity, they had insulted it, thinking debris and ruins would yield easy victory. Titan was a vengeance incarnate, cold and precise. "Form a defensive ring," he commanded. "We fight smarter, not harder." But Titan's network anticipated even that. The moon's beacons pulsed in rhythm, a heartbeat of a long-dead species preparing to strike with relentless purpose. In the flagship's command deck, the admiral gathered surviving captains. "Our direct assault is failing," he admitted, voice tight. "Titan is a sentient fortress. Every weapon we deploy, every shield we raise, it adapts instantly." Razek's eyes darted across the holographic map of Titan and its moons. "We need a new approach. Indirect engagement, decoys, electronic camouflage, something unpredictable." The admiral's hands hovered over the console. Humanity's ingenuity had forced him into improvisation, into the realm of uncertainty he had always feared. "Very well," he said. "We fight on their terms, but we choose the first move." The fleet prepared feints, electronic ghosts designed to simulate real ships. Titan's sensors flared in response, recalibrating, adapting, predicting. The admiral felt an unfamiliar thrill beneath the dread. The dance had begun. Strategy versus strategy. Intellect versus intellect. Humanity had built this moon as a weapon, but the Varkans were alive, resourceful, and desperate. "Deploy decoys," he commanded. And as simulated ships flitted through Saturn's rings, the admiral realized every misstep could be fatal, every victory Pyrrhic. Yet the battle had shifted. Titan was no longer the only predator. The hunt had begun. Simulated vessels drifted through Saturn's rings, their energy signatures designed to mimic real warships. The admiral watched Titan's orbital guns flare in response, scanning each decoy. "Every reaction we provoke, every pattern we create, they are learning," Razek warned. The admiral's gaze narrowed. Humanity had built a living weapon, one that not only destroyed but also adapted. Yet if they could predict, perhaps they could manipulate. "Feed it false data," he ordered. "Make Titan overcommit." The first feints blinked across the view screen, rippling through Titan's network like baited hooks. Explosions erupted where none of the fleet existed, as orbital guns fired at decoys. Titan's energy pulse throbbed across the moon's icy surface. "Sir, it's analyzing the feints," Razek said. "Then we double them," the admiral replied. Every maneuver, every false ship, every scrambled signal became part of the plan. Titan's beacons pulsed, searching, calculating, adapting. Yet the admiral smiled faintly. The Varkans had become predators in disguise. Humanity had prepared a fortress, but the admiral intended to turn its intelligence against itself. The moon would learn, but the fleet would teach in return. Titan reacted faster than predicted. Orbital guns reoriented in seconds, focusing on clusters of decoys and live ships alike. The fleet's shields flared, taking the brunt of the fire intended for ghost vessels. "Sir, the decoys are slowing us down," Razek said, anxiety tinging his voice. The admiral's jaw clenched. Humanity's designs were elegant, precise, and terrifyingly adaptive. Yet even as Titan's defenses struck, a subtle imbalance appeared. Momentary delays, a microfracture in the moon's coordination. "That's our opening," he muttered. If exploited, it could give the fleet a chance to strike at the hidden heart beneath the ice. Deep sensors detected heat anomalies, faint vibrations beneath Titan's surface. "They're moving something," Razek said. The Admiral narrowed his eyes. Perhaps this was not just a weapon system, but a mobilized core, a buried engine, alive, capable of altering the battlefield itself. "Target that," he ordered, pointing at a network of subterranean conduits. The fleet fired experimental disruptors, beams of energy designed to destabilize the moon's hidden systems. Titan trembled, ice cracking as signals surged unpredictably. The orbital guns hesitated, then resumed firing, faster, smarter, angrier. The game was escalating. Titan was not just defense, it was vengeance in motion. Subterranean scans revealed massive structures, vaulted chambers, metallic corridors, and pulsing nodes etched with Earth's symbol. "Sir, these are habitation modules," Razek reported. "Perhaps archives, factories, or something else entirely." The Admiral's stomach twisted. Humanity had preserved more than weapons. They had preserved intelligence, machinery, and strategy, dormant for centuries beneath Titan's crust. The pulse of the beacons synchronized with the structures, forming a neural network capable of orchestrating orbital and surface weapons simultaneously. Every action the fleet made was measured, analyzed, and predicted. The Admiral realized the moon itself was a living war machine, and he was inside its prey cage. "Prepare infiltration drones," he ordered. Razek hesitated. "Sir, Titan's defenses may adapt to them instantly. They could be destroyed before reaching the surface." The Admiral's glare was sharp. "Then we adapt faster. We must know what drives this weapon. Every calculation, every algorithm we seize could turn the tide." Below, ice shifted, revealing hidden conduits that pulsed with strange energy. The drones descended into darkness, navigating corridors etched with human symbols. The Admiral's heart thumped in a mix of dread and anticipation. Titan had secrets, and secrets could be broken or exploited. In the flagship, analysts worked frantically to decode Titan's neural signals captured by drones. "Sir, it's semi-sentient," one engineer whispered. "It anticipates our learning methods and counters them in real time." The Admiral stared at the flickering screens. A weapon was one thing, but intelligence, alive and reactive, was another entirely. Humanity had built not just a moon, but a mind, programmed to survive and retaliate. "Every move we make teaches it," Razek added. The Admiral leaned back, mind spinning. Knowledge was power, but here knowledge could be fatal. Beacons pulsed across Titan, a rhythmic heartbeat of strategy. Orbital guns shifted, focusing on minor gaps in the fleet's defenses. A breach opened, a single cruiser torn apart by precision fire. "Sir, the moon knows us," Razek said quietly. The Admiral clenched his teeth. Every sensor, every probe, every feint had been catalogued. Titan was learning at a terrifying pace, but understanding the pattern, finding its logic, could provide an edge. The Admiral exhaled. "We will study it, and we will strike smarter. Titan may be alive, but so are we." The Admiral gathered surviving captains around the holographic map. "Titan adapts to force, but it relies on prediction," he said. "We will fight unpredictably, fragmenting our fleet, creating false patterns, forcing its neural network to divide its attention." Razek nodded. "Decoys, feints, erratic maneuvers, we push it to overreact." The Admiral's eyes glimmered with determination. Humanity had planned for a long wait, but the Varkans could turn patience into peril for Titan. Every movement must be deliberate. Every attack is a misdirection. If we exploit this, we may survive the moon's judgment. The fleet split, weaving through Saturn's rings in chaotic formations. Titan's sensors pulsed, orbital guns reorienting with deadly precision, but now signals conflicted. Decoys flickered, real ships darted unpredictably, systems scrambled. For the first time, the orbital guns misfired, energy beams striking space. The admiral allowed himself a brief spark of hope. Titan was intelligent, but intelligence can be manipulated. The battle had evolved from brute force to strategy, and as the Varkans pressed their advantage, the admiral whispered to himself, "Humanity built the weapon, but we will teach it a new lesson." The admiral ordered specialized tunneling drones toward Titan's heart. "Sir, the ice is denser than predicted," Razek said. "Sensors indicate massive energy nodes obstructing direct access." The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had not just buried weapons. They had buried a command core, a mind controlling the moon. Every pulse they measured synchronized with orbital and surface defenses. "We must reach it," the admiral said. "Knowledge is the only weapon left." Drones descended, drilling through layers of methane and ice, unaware of the silent observer calculating their every move. Signals pulsed from the core, adapting to the intrusion. "Sir, it's responding to our drone's patterns," Razek warned. Orbital guns fired warning volleys, energy beams grazing space as the drones advanced. Titan's ice shimmered, pulsing like a heartbeat, revealing the network's living intelligence. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity's long-buried defenses were designed not just to destroy, but to teach, each assault feeding a larger strategy. "Feed it false telemetry," he commanded. The drones altered their paths, luring sensors to decoy nodes. Titan hesitated, the first sign of imperfection in centuries. Titan pulsed, sending waves of electromagnetic interference across the fleet. Communications faltered, targeting arrays flickered and failed. The admiral gritted his teeth. "They're isolating us, breaking our coordination," Razek responded, panic tinged with awe. "Sir, these are not random pulses. They're deliberate, targeted, teaching us our weaknesses." The moon's orbital guns flared, following patterns that mirrored the fleet's scrambling movements. Titan had evolved, learning from each feint, each evasion, each disruption. The admiral realized with chilling clarity, this was no simple defense system. This was a sentient war network, centuries in the making, and it had just become fully aware. Shields flared, engines strained, and small cruisers were shredded by invisible lines of fire. The admiral's heart pounded. Focus fire on the core's projected coordinates. Overload its response nodes. The fleet unleashed experimental energy surges, beams aimed at predicted neural hubs beneath the ice. Titan trembled, ice cracking in concentric patterns across the surface. The orbital guns paused, an instant of hesitation, the first crack in their perfect defense. The admiral's face hardened. "We exploit that pause," he said. Humanity had built perfection, but even perfection had a threshold, and they had just found it. Drones breached the first chamber beneath Titan's ice. Massive arrays of dormant weapons stretched in perfect symmetry, engraved with human symbols and Earth's emblem. Razek whispered in disbelief, "Sir, this is a hidden armory. They've preserved every major system for centuries." The admiral's hands shook with a mixture of dread and fascination. Humanity had not perished. They had prepared. "Catalog everything. We cannot destroy or deploy blindly," he ordered. Every weapon, every mechanism pulsed faintly, alive in the network, ready to respond to intruders. Energy conduits hummed, connecting the armory to orbital guns and surface nodes. "Sir, the network is merging the armory with Titan sensors. Any misstep could trigger full-scale retaliation," Razek warned. The admiral clenched his jaw. They had underestimated the intelligence embedded in every ounce of Titan's crust. "Proceed cautiously," he said. "Every discovery is a threat and an opportunity." Drones carefully extracted schematics and sensor data, feeding false signals to the network. Titan's pulse slowed slightly, its attention divided. The admiral allowed himself a small, dangerous hope. For the first time, they might exploit the human legacy instead of being crushed by it. Titan recalibrated, Its orbital guns fired sporadically, misaligned, testing the fleet's reactions. "Sir, it's learning our decoy tactics," Razek said. The admiral's eyes narrowed. "Then we evolve faster than it can. Change the rhythm, vary the vectors, fragment our fleet further." Sensors tracked micro-adjustments in Titan's network. Every false maneuver, every feint fed the moon's growing intelligence. The admiral realized that Titan was not just a weapon, but a living puzzle, adapting to the predator within its orbit. They had to outthink centuries of strategy in hours or face annihilation. Drones carried blueprints of Titan's hidden systems, feeding fabricated signals into the moon's neural network. Orbital guns fired at phantom threats, energy beams arcing harmlessly into space. "Sir, the moon's network is overloaded with conflicting inputs," Razek noted, awe and fear mingling. The admiral exhaled. Humanity had built a perfect weapon, but perfection was vulnerable to deception. "Push harder," he ordered. The fleet executed maneuvers no algorithm could anticipate, fragmenting Titan's attention across multiple threats. For the first time, the admiral felt the possibility of control amidst chaos. Titan's pulse faltered. Energy nodes beneath the ice blinked inconsistently, signals colliding in unpredictable patterns. "Sir, it's reacting unpredictably," Razek said. The admiral's lips pressed into a thin line. After decades of arrogance, he finally understood. Humanity had left a weapon, but even a weapon had limits. "Deploy concentrated disruptors," he commanded. Drones fired at key neural hubs beneath the ice, feeding false telemetry while exploiting gaps in the network. For the first time, Titan's defenses hesitated, not out of weakness but confusion. Orbital guns missed their first few volleys, sweeping harmlessly past decoys. The fleet's shields flared, engines pushed to maximum, and coordinated counterattacks began. "Sir, we've created a window," Razek said, voice barely containing hope. The admiral's gaze hardened. Humanity's weapon was brilliant, adaptive, ruthless, but it was not invincible. Titan's pulse continued, slower now, its intelligence divided and misled. "Maintain pressure," he ordered. "Every miscalculation strengthens our position." For the first time since arrival, the admiral allowed himself to imagine victory, not total, not permanent, but a chance to strike back at humanity's ghostly sentinel. The fleet pressed forward, weaving through Saturn's rings with newfound precision. Titan's orbital guns faltered, responding to false telemetry, misaligned by carefully crafted decoys. "Sir, the moon's neural network is fragmented," Razek reported. The admiral's eyes glimmered. Humanity had built a fortress of intellect, but it could be divided, manipulated, and exploited. "Concentrate fire on the exposed conduits," he ordered. Energy beams struck key nodes beneath the ice, causing microfissures across Titan's crust. The moon trembled in response, a silent acknowledgement of its vulnerability. Drones relayed schematics and sensor data in real time. Titan's pulse slowed, its orbital guns jittering between targets. "Sir, they're reacting to our new patterns," Razek said. The admiral clenched his jaw. Every victory was temporary. Every move watched, every calculation fed back into the network. Yet a strategy had formed, a way to exploit the gaps in Titan's centuries-old defense. "Keep them off balance," he commanded. The fleet fractured into multiple vectors, each acting unpredictably, forcing Titan to overextend. For the first time, the alien fleet tasted hope amidst human-engineered terror. Subterranean drones advanced deeper into Titan, mapping hidden corridors, energy conduits, and weapon caches. "Sir, the core is massive, interlinked with every orbital gun and surface node," Razek said. The admiral's eyes scanned the data. Humanity had built a command center beneath the ice, a hub coordinating centuries of weapons and strategy. "Every strike, every defense is controlled here," he muttered. Drones carefully deployed sensors, feeding false data to the moon's network while logging structural weaknesses. Titan pulsed in response, a massive heartbeat echoing through the ice. The admiral realized they were not just observing. They were interacting with a long-dormant intelligence. A network of pulsing conduits linked the core to orbital guns and surface batteries. "Sir, any misstep could trigger full retaliation," Razek warned. The admiral's hands hovered over the console. Humanity had preserved not just weapons, but foresight, strategy, and patience. "We exploit hesitation," he said. "Every delayed response is a chance to learn, to strike, to survive." Energy beams from the fleet focused on minor nodes designed to mislead and fragment Titan's coordination. For the first time, cracks appeared in the moon's flawless defenses. The game was evolving, and the Varkans had gained the initiative. Titan recalibrated, its orbital guns adjusted, firing intermittently to probe the fleet's intentions. "Sir, they're learning from our feints," Razek said, tension thick in his voice. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built a reactive fortress, a sentinel that learned from every move, every error, every strategy. "Then we must adapt faster," he said. The fleet splintered into unpredictable formations, shifting patterns every few seconds, combining decoys with real vessels. Titan's pulse slowed in some sectors, accelerated in others, a complex dance of intelligence versus instinct. The admiral realized this was no longer a simple battle. It was a test of wits. Subsurface sensors detected energy redistribution beneath Titan's ice. "Sir, the core is rerouting power to stabilize disrupted nodes," Razek reported. The admiral nodded. Every strike, every deception, every disruption forced the moon to reveal its inner logic. "Target the weak points," he ordered. Drones delivered pulses that created false failures, tricking Titan's AI into overcompensation. Orbital guns fired at space, misaligned and momentarily ineffective. The admiral allowed himself a grim smile. Humanity had designed a weapon to survive millennia, but it could still be outmaneuvered, if only by exploiting the first cracks in its armor. The admiral devised a risky plan: lure Titan into overextending its defenses. "Deploy decoys at high velocity, feint attacks from multiple vectors," he ordered. The fleet obeyed, scattering like shadows across Saturn's rings. Titan's orbital guns pivoted furiously, responding to every threat, expending energy and focus. "Sir, it's committing too many resources to phantom ships," Razek observed. The admiral's mind raced. Humanity had built patience and precision into Titan, but even precision had limits. If exploited, the moon's neural network could be manipulated into exposing the core's vulnerabilities. Energy pulses from the decoys confused Titan's sensors, causing minor misalignments in orbital fire. The fleet moved closer to the surface, drones probing fissures beneath the ice. "Sir, the core's defenses are reacting unpredictably," Razek said, awe tinged with fear. The admiral's face hardened. Every pulse, every misfire, every hesitation was an opportunity. Titan was learning, but now it was learning the wrong lessons. "Press the attack carefully," he commanded. The moon trembled beneath them, ice groaning under centuries of stored energy. The first threads of human ingenuity had been turned against their own fortress. Drones breached the outer core chamber beneath Titan's ice, pulsing conduits linked to every orbital gun and hidden battery. "Sir, any error could trigger planetary-scale retaliation," Razek warned. The admiral's fingers hovered above the override controls. Humanity had buried not just weapons, but foresight and vengeance. "Proceed," he commanded. Disruptor pulses flooded the chamber, feeding false signals into the moon's neural network while mapping structural weaknesses. Titan trembled, ice cracking, energy nodes misaligning. For the first time, the Varkans touched the heart of the human war machine. Orbital guns faltered as the network tried to reconcile conflicting inputs. "Sir, the moon's reaction is slowing," Rozek said. The admiral exhaled. Humanity's sentinel had survived centuries of neglect, but even sentience had limits. "Maintain pressure," he ordered. Every beam, every maneuver, every decoy kept Titan off balance. The Corps' defenses flickered, revealing previously unseen conduits and hidden caches of weaponry. For the first time, the admiral realized Titan's full potential and how it might be exploited. The war had reached a new phase. The heart of humanity's vengeance was within reach. Titan's pulse quickened, sensors realigning across multiple orbital guns. "Sir, it's reorganizing its defenses," Rozek said, tension sharpening his voice. The admiral frowned. Humanity's moon had learned from the Varkan's deception, now adapting more aggressively. "Then we force it to commit fully," he said. The fleet split into unpredictable vectors, combining real ships with decoys, each maneuver designed to test Titan's limits. Energy beams lanced outward, grazing space as the moon recalibrated its orbital weapons. Titan was alive, aware, and now irritated, a dangerous combination. Drones infiltrated subsurface conduits, mapping hidden nodes. "Sir, each strike we make, it shifts defenses in real time," Rozek reported. The admiral's lips pressed into a thin line. Humanity had built a weapon of intellect, capable of rewriting the battlefield instantly. "Exploit its overcommitment," he ordered. False telemetry and decoy strikes forced orbital guns to pivot excessively, leaving gaps. For the first time, the Varkans gained a measurable advantage, exploiting milliseconds in Titan's reaction. The admiral allowed a sliver of grim satisfaction. Humanity's fortress could be misled, even if temporarily. The fleet moved closer to Titan's surface, scanning fissures and ice-covered valleys. "Sir, new defensive turrets emerging," Rozek warned. Titan's surface was alive with buried weapons, rising from ice like mechanical predators. The admiral narrowed his eyes. Every new defense revealed both ingenuity and vulnerability. "Drones probe from multiple angles," he ordered. "We must map and distract simultaneously." Energy beams flared from newly revealed turrets, striking drones mid-flight, but some sensors survived, transmitting vital schematics back to the flagship. Each pulse, each shot, each tremor became intelligence for the Varkans. Titan's orbital guns shifted to track the surface probes. "Sir, they're linking surface and orbital defenses now," Rozek said. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had integrated a multi-layered defense, combining ice-embedded weapons, orbital nodes, and neural guidance. "Then we hit them all simultaneously," he ordered. Drones fired disruptor pulses while decoys drew orbital fire away from critical points. Titan's defenses flinched under coordinated attacks, misaligning briefly. For the first time, the fleet could navigate the surface hazards with partial confidence. The moon trembled beneath centuries of stored energy, aware, alive, and now stressed. The admiral ordered a high-risk maneuver, split the fleet into multiple orbital planes to confuse Titan sensors. "Sir, this is unprecedented," Rozek said. The Varkans wove through Saturn's rings, decoys interspersed with real ships, each movement calculated to mislead the moon's neural network. Titan's pulse quickened, energy surging from orbital guns as they attempted to predict each maneuver. The first misfires occurred. Beams shot into space. The admiral's eyes gleamed with grim satisfaction. Humanity's defenses, brilliant as they were, could be manipulated, if only briefly. Sensors tracked fissures opening across Titan's icy surface, subsurface energy nodes trembling under experimental disruptor pulses. "Sir, the network is overloaded with conflicting inputs," Rozek said. The admiral's hand hovered over the console. This was the moment of opportunity. Titan's centuries-old intelligence was being strained by unpredictability. "Push forward with precision strikes," he commanded. Drones deployed energy pulses into the fissures, destabilizing minor nodes. Titan's orbital guns paused, energy surging and realigning hesitantly. For the first time, the fleet had a window. Not total control, but a foothold against the human sentinel. Drones reached the inner core of Titan's network, sensors humming with intensity. "Sir, this is the central nexus," Razek said. "Every orbital gun and surface battery is linked here." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity had built centuries of strategy into a single point, a fragile center controlling perfection. "Deploy concentrated disruptors," he ordered. Energy pulses flooded the core, feeding false telemetry while scanning for structural weaknesses. Titan trembled, ice cracking, nodes misfiring, a heartbeat faltering after millennia of dormancy. Orbital guns faltered above, energy beams misaligned, drifting harmlessly past decoys. "Sir, the network is destabilizing," Razek reported, disbelief and fear mingling in his voice. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had created a fortress of intelligence, but it could be stressed, deceived, and temporarily broken. "Maintain pressure," he commanded. Every feint, every pulse, every probe worked in concert. The moon's perfect defenses now showed imperfection. The Varkans had touched the heart of Titan's war machine. For the first time, the Admiral felt the possibility of turning centuries of human vengeance to their advantage. Titan shuddered as drones continued disrupting the core, minor fissures spreading across the icy crust. "Sir, some orbital guns are offline," Razek noted. The Admiral's eyes gleamed with determination. The centuries-old human sentinel was not invincible. "Focus all fire on exposed nodes while feeding false telemetry to remaining defenses," he commanded. Energy beams lanced through fissures, striking hidden conduits. Titan's pulse faltered. The neural network struggled to adapt to simultaneous threats. For the first time, the Varkans held a tangible advantage, however fragile. Decoys and real ships moved in chaotic harmony, further straining Titan's sensors. "Sir, some systems are misaligned for seconds at a time," Razek observed. The Admiral's lips pressed into a thin line. Humanity had preserved a weapon of perfect intelligence, but intelligence could be manipulated, forced to make errors. "Exploit every hesitation," he ordered. The moon quivered beneath centuries of hidden energy, ice cracking, nodes misfiring. The first cracks appeared in Titan's defenses, not fatal, but significant. The battle had entered a new phase. The Varkans could now fight not just to survive, but to control the terms of engagement. Titan pulsed violently, ice cracking across vast expanses. "Sir, the core is rerouting energy to orbital guns," Razek warned. The Admiral clenched his jaw. Humanity had designed patience into every node, every weapon, and now Titan was countering the Varkans' first victories. "Maintain pressure. Focus on weak conduits while avoiding full engagement," he ordered. The fleet maneuvered through chaotic orbits, exploiting misaligned beams while drones probed fissures beneath the ice. Titan's pulse intensified, a living heartbeat reacting to every move, yet still faltering under simultaneous assaults. Orbital guns flared sporadically, firing at decoys, miscalculating trajectories. "Sir, some surface nodes are unstable," Razek reported. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity's sentinel was resilient, adaptive, but stress had its limits. "Push the probes deeper," he commanded. Energy pulses from drones created cascading malfunctions in minor nodes, forcing Titan to overcompensate. The moon trembled under centuries of stored intelligence, its neural network straining under deception. For the first time, the Varkans could influence the rhythm of battle. Titan was alive, but it was beginning to falter. The Admiral devised a risky plan, combined feints with precise strikes on newly revealed core nodes. "Sir, if this fails, the fleet risks catastrophic losses," Razek said. The Admiral's eyes hardened. Humanity's moon had been underestimated, but opportunity lay in its overextension. Then we proceed with precision, he said. Drones delivered concentrated pulses while decoys drew orbital fire away from critical conduits. Titan's defenses reacted violently, energy beams lancing through space as the core misaligned. For the first time, the fleet exploited both chaos and strategy simultaneously. Sensors tracked fissures widening beneath Titan's ice. "Sir, the core's neural network is unstable," Razek observed. The admiral leaned forward. Every pulse, every feint, every misalignment was now feeding tactical advantage. "Coordinate simultaneous strikes," he commanded. Drones and warships acted in perfect harmony, exploiting milliseconds of error across orbital and surface defenses. Titan shuddered as energy nodes misfired, the moon's pulse flickering. Humanity's sentinel had endured centuries, but stress, misdirection, and precision combined to produce the first measurable cracks in its perfect armor. Drones penetrated deeper into the ice, scanning the core's central nodes. "Sir, critical conduits are exposed," Razek reported. The admiral's lips pressed into a thin line. Humanity had buried foresight beneath centuries of ice, but foresight had limits. "Strike carefully," he ordered. Energy beams and disruptor pulses targeted the exposed conduits, destabilizing interconnected systems. Titan trembled violently, ice groaning under centuries of stored energy. Orbital guns misfired repeatedly, firing into empty voids while surface turrets hesitated. For the first time, the Varkans had partial control over the battlefield. False telemetry and decoys continued to confuse the network. "Sir, the core is struggling to reconcile conflicting inputs," Razek said. The admiral exhaled. Centuries of human planning, adaptive intelligence, and patient vengeance had met improvisation, unpredictability, and boldness. "Maintain coordinated pressure," he commanded. The fleet exploited every hesitation, every micro-failure in Titan's defenses. The moon's pulse flickered, a heartbeat faltering under stress, yet still alive. Titan's intelligence had survived millennia, but now even sentience could be tested, strained, and challenged by a relentless predator within its orbit. Drones breached the upper layers of Titan's core chamber, revealing dormant weapon arrays ready to fire. "Sir, these weapons are fully integrated with orbital systems," Razek said. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity had preserved not only intelligence, but perfect coordination between surface and orbit. "Deploy controlled energy pulses to destabilize their integration," he ordered. Drones fired, circuits overloaded, and nodes misfired. Titan shuddered, ice cracking as surface weapons briefly faltered. For the first time, the fleet could observe the moon's hidden arsenal without immediate retaliation. Orbital guns misaligned, firing into space, while surface turrets struggled to recalibrate. "Sir, minor failures in the neural network are expanding," Razek reported. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built a fortress of intellect, but stress, deception, and simultaneous assault could produce exploitable weaknesses. "Continue synchronized strikes," he commanded. Drones advanced, feeding false telemetry while recording vulnerabilities. Titan trembled beneath centuries of human ingenuity. The moon was alive, aware, and now strained. The first tangible openings had appeared, signaling that the Varkans could now dictate parts of the battlefield. The admiral surveyed the battlefield. Fissures widening, orbital guns misaligned, surface turrets malfunctioning intermittently. "Sir, Titan is reacting erratically," Razek said. The admiral's eyes glimmered. Humanity had designed perfection, but even perfection could falter under stress. "Push synchronized strikes while exploiting hesitation," he ordered. Drones fired disruptor pulses, decoys moved unpredictably, and warships executed erratic maneuvers. Titan trembled beneath the assaults, energy nodes flickering like a failing heartbeat. For the first time, the Varkans held a measurable advantage, however fragile. Orbital guns misfired repeatedly. Surface weapons paused mid-operation. Sir, the core is destabilizing, Razek reported, awe mingled with fear. The admiral clenched his jaw. Humanity had built a sentinel to endure millennia, but intelligence could be tested. Maintain coordinated pressure, he commanded. Every pulse, every feint, every strike fed strategic advantage. Titan's perfect defenses flickered, revealing openings for the fleet to exploit. The battle had reached a critical threshold. The human moon was alive, adaptive, dangerous, but vulnerable. The Varkans were no longer only surviving, they were beginning to dictate the terms of engagement. Titan pulsed violently, energy flaring along its ice-crusted surface. Sir, orbital guns are coordinating across multiple moons, Razek warned. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built a network, not just a fortress, and it was striking back. Adjust formations. Prioritize mobility over firepower, he ordered. The fleet twisted through Saturn's rings, decoys weaving among real ships, testing Titan's neural network. Energy beams cut close, grazing hulls, precision perfected over centuries. Titan was alive, aware, and now aggressive, its defenses no longer faltering but responding with lethal intent. Surface turrets activated in synchronization, unleashing concentrated barrages against drones. Sir, the network is countering our feints, Razek said. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity had built patience into every system, and now it was testing the fleet. Focus fire on the core's outer nodes, he commanded. Disruptor pulses and feints struck simultaneously, forcing Titan to split attention between orbital and surface defenses. The moon trembled beneath the assault, energy pulsing like a heartbeat under stress. For the first time, the fleet felt the deadly intelligence of human design fully awakened. Drones penetrated deeper into Titan's core, mapping energy conduits and control nodes. Sir, every action we take is mirrored instantly across orbital systems, Razek reported. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity's sentinel had been built for centuries of patience, and now it was learning to counter them in real time. Deploy false telemetry to overload specific nodes, he ordered. Energy pulses struck minor conduits, creating cascading errors throughout the network. Titan shuddered, ice cracking, nodes flickering. The admiral realized they were engaged in a war of intellect, deception, and precision, not just brute force. Orbital guns misaligned, energy beams grazing space. Sir, the moon's response is erratic, Razek noted. The admiral leaned over the console. Humanity had built a fortress, adaptive and lethal, but even perfect intelligence could be manipulated under sustained stress. Continue pressure while mapping structural weaknesses, he commanded. Drones recorded the network's reactions while decoys drew fire from orbital and surface weapons. Titan trembled beneath centuries of stored energy. The Varkans had created the first measurable crack in its defenses. The battle had shifted. The fleet now dictated the tempo of engagement, however briefly. The admiral ordered daring surface incursions, drones maneuvering through fissures, targeting core conduits. Sir, this is extremely risky, Razek warned. Titan's surface pulsed, weapons emerging from ice, tracking drones instantly. Then we strike precisely, the admiral replied. Energy pulses disrupted surface nodes, causing minor explosions and temporary failures in turret coordination. Titan trembled, ice cracking along miles of fissures. For the first time, the fleet had a window to observe the human arsenal beneath the ice without immediate retaliation. Orbital guns faltered, misfiring in space as surface turrets struggled to realign. Sir, the neural network is under stress, Razek reported. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity had built centuries of intellect, but stress and deception could expose weaknesses. Maintain synchronized strikes, he ordered. Drones advanced further, feeding false telemetry while recording vulnerabilities. Titan's pulse flickered like a failing heartbeat, revealing small but critical openings. The first tangible advantage had been gained. The fleet could now manipulate the moon's defenses rather than merely react to them. Drones reached the central chamber beneath Titan's ice, sensors illuminating massive energy nodes and interlinked conduits. "Sir, this is the heart of the network," Razek said. The Admiral's eyes widened. Humanity had buried centuries of strategy, weapon coordination, and adaptive intelligence in a single location. "Deploy concentrated disruptors," he ordered. Energy pulses surged into conduits, destabilizing connections while feeding false telemetry to orbital and surface systems. Titan trembled violently, ice cracking and energy nodes misfiring. For the first time, the fleet touched the beating heart of the human war machine. Orbital guns misfired repeatedly. Surface turrets paused mid-operation. "Sir, the network is faltering," Razek whispered. The Admiral leaned closer, eyes sharp. Humanity had created perfection, but intelligence under simultaneous stress could be tested, strained, and manipulated. "Continue pressure. Exploit every hesitation," he commanded. Every feint, every pulse, every strike worked in concert, forcing the moon's defenses to fracture. Titan shuddered under centuries of hidden energy. For the first time, the fleet had partial control of the battlefield. The human sentinel was alive, adaptive, dangerous, but vulnerable. The Admiral surveyed Saturn's rings, fissures widening, orbital guns misaligned, surface turrets faltering. "Sir, Titan is reacting unpredictably," Razek said. The Admiral's eyes glimmered. Humanity had designed perfect defenses, but stress, deception, and relentless assault could reveal weaknesses. "Push synchronized strikes while exploiting hesitation," he ordered. Drones fired disruptor pulses, decoys maneuvered erratically, and warships attacked in coordinated chaos. Titan trembled beneath the assaults, energy nodes flickering like a heartbeat under pressure. For the first time, the fleet dictated terms, not survival alone, but engagement itself. Orbital guns misfired repeatedly. Surface weapons paused mid-operation. "Sir, the core is destabilizing," Razek reported. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built a sentinel to endure millennia, but even sentience had limits. "Maintain coordinated pressure," he commanded. Every pulse, feint, and strike forced Titan to react under conflicting demands. The moon's perfect defenses flickered, revealing exploitable openings. The first tangible advantage had been seized. The Varkans were no longer only surviving, they were influencing the battlefield, forcing centuries of human ingenuity to reveal its first cracks. Titan pulsed violently, ice cracking across vast expanses. "Sir, it's overloading nodes to compensate," Razek warned. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built patience into centuries of defenses, and now the moon was reacting with lethal desperation. "Maintain pressure. Focus on the destabilized conduits," he commanded. Drones advanced deeper, feeding false telemetry and energy pulses into the core. Titan shuddered, orbital guns jittering, surface turrets misfiring. The first signs of uncontrolled retaliation appeared, an aggressive, erratic heartbeat from a sentinel centuries in the making. Energy beams scorched space, missing decoys by meters. "Sir, the network is attempting countermeasures," Razek said. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity's sentinel had not faltered yet. It was adapting under extreme stress. "Exploit its overextension," he ordered. Drones and decoys worked in tandem, forcing orbital guns to split focus while mapping weak points. Titan trembled, ice groaning as energy nodes misaligned. The battle had become a high-stakes contest of intellect versus instinct, precision versus adaptation, and the Admiral felt the tension of facing a weapon alive and fully aware. Drones penetrated Titan's inner core, sensors illuminating massive conduits linked to every orbital and surface weapon. "Sir, every strike we make is mirrored instantly," Razek said. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built centuries of strategy into a single location, a fragile heart controlling perfection. "Deploy full-spectrum disruptors," he commanded. Energy pulses surged into conduits, destabilizing nodes while feeding false telemetry to remaining defenses. Titan shuddered violently, ice cracking, nodes misfiring. For the first time, the fleet was attacking not just weapons but the intelligence controlling them. Orbital guns misfired repeatedly, firing into voids, while surface turrets hesitated mid-operation. "Sir, the core is struggling to maintain stability," Razek reported. The admiral leaned forward, eyes sharp. Humanity had built a sentinel to endure millennia, but even intelligence under simultaneous stress had limits. "Continue pressure," he commanded. Every feint, pulse, and strike fractured the moon's defenses. Titan trembled under centuries of stored energy, nodes flickering. The first tangible advantage had been gained. The Varkans now manipulated the human war machine rather than merely surviving its wrath. Drones reached Titan's upper core chambers, revealing weapon arrays integrated with orbital systems. "Sir, these arrays are fully synchronized," Razek noted. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity had preserved coordination between surface and orbit, centuries of perfect engineering. "Deploy precision disruptor pulses," he ordered. Energy pulses destabilized the integration, causing minor explosions and temporary failures. Titan trembled, ice cracking along miles of fissures. For the first time, the fleet could exploit the moon's hidden arsenal without immediate retaliation. Orbital guns misaligned, firing into empty voids, while surface turrets struggled to recalibrate. "Sir, the network is showing cracks under stress," Razek reported. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built centuries of intellect, but stress and deception could expose exploitable weaknesses. "Continue synchronized strikes," he commanded. Drones advanced, feeding false telemetry while recording vulnerabilities. Titan's pulse flickered like a failing heartbeat, energy nodes struggling. The first critical openings had emerged. The Varkans were no longer reacting. They were dictating parts of the battlefield. The admiral orchestrated a multi-vector assault. Drones infiltrating subsurface conduits, decoys drawing orbital fire, and warships striking simultaneously. "Sir, Titan's network is overloading," Razek observed. The admiral's eyes gleamed. Humanity had created a sentinel designed for millennia, but even perfect intelligence falters under extreme, multi-directional stress. "Exploit every hesitation," he commanded. Energy pulses struck exposed nodes, orbital guns misfiring, surface turrets freezing mid-sequence. Titan trembled violently, ice cracking, energy flickering. The first true dominance had been achieved, fragile but real. False telemetry and feints forced Titan to misalign its own defenses repeatedly. "Sir, the core's neural network is destabilizing," Razek said. The admiral leaned forward. Humanity had built a fortress, adaptive and lethal, but even intelligence can be tested. "Maintain pressure," he ordered. Drones and warships executed synchronized assaults, exploiting milliseconds of error across the moon's integrated systems. Titan shuddered under centuries of stored energy. For the first time, the fleet had shifted from survival to dictating the battle. The human sentinel was alive, aware, dangerous, but vulnerable. Drones reached the central nexus beneath Titan's ice, revealing the heart of its war machine. "Sir, this is the command hub," Razek whispered. The admiral's jaw tightened. Centuries of strategy, coordination, and intelligence were now exposed. "Deploy full-spectrum disruptors carefully," he ordered. Energy pulses surged into conduits, destabilizing nodes while feeding false telemetry to orbital and surface systems. Titan trembled violently, ice cracking, energy flickering. For the first time, the fleet had touched the true core of human ingenuity and vengeance. Orbital guns misfired, surface turrets hesitated mid-operation. "Sir, the network is faltering under simultaneous assault," Razek reported. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity had built perfection, but intelligence under stress has limits. "Maintain coordinated pressure," he commanded. Every pulse, feint, and strike forced Titan to react under conflicting inputs. The moon's defenses flickered, revealing openings. The first tangible advantage had been seized. The Varkans were no longer merely surviving. They were beginning to control the rhythm of battle itself. Titan pulsed violently, ice cracking across its surface. "Sir, it's rerouting all power to orbital guns simultaneously," Razek warned. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built a sentinel designed for millennia, and now it was responding with maximum force. "Focus on destabilized nodes while avoiding direct fire," he commanded. The fleet twisted through Saturn's rings, decoys interspersed with warships, each maneuver calculated to mislead Titan's neural network. Energy beams lanced through space, grazing hulls. Titan's intelligence was fully aware and aggressive, a living weapon now striking back at unprecedented scale. Surface turrets erupted in synchronized barrages, targeting drones and decoys. "Sir, the network is countering every feint," Razek reported. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity's sentinel had survived centuries, but stress and simultaneous assaults might force error. "Exploit overextension," he ordered. Drones fired disruptor pulses while decoys drew orbital fire away from critical conduits. Titan trembled violently, ice groaning, energy nodes misfiring. The battle had become a deadly contest of intellect, strategy, and raw adaptive force. One wrong move could cost the fleet everything. Drones penetrated deeper into Titan's core, illuminating massive interlinked nodes controlling every orbital and surface weapon. "Sir, every strike we make is mirrored instantly across the network," Razek said. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had buried centuries of planning in one fragile heart. "Deploy full-spectrum disruptors," he ordered. Energy pulses surged into conduits, destabilizing nodes while feeding false telemetry. Titan trembled violently, ice cracking, nodes flickering. The fleet was attacking not just weapons, but the intelligence controlling them, a dangerous gamble against a sentinel centuries in the making. Orbital guns misfired repeatedly. Surface turrets paused mid-operation. "Sir, the network is straining," Razek noted. The admiral leaned over the console. Humanity had built a perfect defense, but intelligence under simultaneous stress has limits. "Maintain pressure," he commanded. Feints, pulses, and strikes fractured the moon's systems. Titan trembled under centuries of stored energy, flickering dangerously. The first tangible advantage had been gained. The fleet was no longer merely surviving. It was manipulating the rhythm of Titan's defenses. Drones advanced through fissures in Titan's icy surface, revealing dormant weapon arrays. "Sir, fully integrated with orbital systems," Razek warned. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity had preserved centuries of coordination. "Deploy precision disruptors," he ordered. Energy pulses destabilized connections, causing minor explosions and temporary failures. Titan trembled, ice cracking across miles of its surface. For the first time, the fleet exploited the moon's hidden arsenal without immediate retaliation. Orbital guns misaligned, firing into space. Surface turrets struggled to recalibrate. "Sir, cracks are forming under stress," Razek reported. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built centuries of intelligence, but stress and deception could reveal weaknesses. "Continue synchronized strikes," he commanded. Drones advanced, feeding false telemetry while recording vulnerabilities. Titan's pulse flickered like a failing heartbeat. Critical openings had emerged. The fleet was no longer reacting. They were beginning to dictate parts of the battlefield. The admiral orchestrated a full-scale multi-vector assault. drones infiltrating subsurface conduits, decoys drawing orbital fire, warships striking simultaneously. "Sir, Titan's network is overloading," Razek said. The Admiral's eyes glimmered. Humanity had created a sentinel designed to endure millennia, but extreme multi-directional assault could fracture its perfection. "Exploit hesitation," he ordered. Energy pulses struck exposed nodes, orbital guns misfiring, surface turrets freezing mid-sequence. Titan trembled violently, ice groaning, energy flickering. For the first time, the fleet achieved true tactical dominance. Fragile but real. Feints and false telemetry forced Titan to misalign defenses repeatedly. "Sir, the core is destabilizing," Razek observed. The Admiral leaned forward. Humanity had built a fortress adaptive and lethal, but intelligence can be tested. "Maintain coordinated pressure," he commanded. Drones and warships executed synchronized strikes, exploiting milliseconds of error across orbital and surface systems. Titan shuddered under centuries of stored energy. The fleet had shifted from survival to dictating the battle. The Sentinel was alive, aware, dangerous, but for the first time, vulnerable. Drones reached Titan's central nexus beneath the ice, revealing the heart of its war machine. "Sir, this is the command hub," Razek whispered. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Centuries of strategy, coordination, and adaptive intelligence were exposed. "Deploy full-spectrum disruptors carefully," he ordered. Energy pulses surged into conduits, destabilizing nodes while feeding false telemetry to orbital and surface systems. Titan trembled violently, ice cracking, energy flickering. For the first time, the fleet touched the beating heart of human ingenuity and vengeance. Orbital guns misfired, surface turrets hesitated mid-operation. "Sir, the network is faltering," Razek reported. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity had built perfection, but intelligence under stress has limits. "Maintain coordinated pressure," he commanded. Every pulse, feint, and strike forced Titan to react under conflicting demands. The moon's defenses flickered, revealing openings. The first tangible advantage had been seized. The Varkans were no longer merely surviving. They were beginning to control the rhythm of Titan's lethal counteroffensive. Titan pulsed violently, every orbital gun and surface turret firing in perfect synchronization. "Sir, it's initiating full-scale retaliation," Razek warned. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity's Sentinel had survived centuries, and now it struck with cataclysmic precision. "Divert energy to shields and evasive maneuvers," he commanded. The fleet twisted through Saturn's rings, dodging beams that could shred warships instantly. Titan's pulse roared like a living weapon, ice cracking violently. The Varkans felt the full weight of human ingenuity. Centuries of patient design turned into sudden, lethal fury. Surface turrets erupted, targeting drones and decoys with deadly accuracy. "Sir, losses are mounting," Razek reported. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Titan's intelligence had adapted fully, predicting movement and response. "Focus fire on the destabilized core while evading," he ordered. Energy pulses targeted weak nodes, forcing the moon to divide attention between destruction and self-preservation. Titan trembled violently, but its strike continued with relentless precision. The battle had escalated from survival to sheer annihilation. The Varkans were testing humanity's ultimate vengeance. The Admiral made a desperate decision: push drones into the heart of Titan's core to seize direct control. "Sir, if this fails, the fleet could be annihilated," Razek said. The Admiral's eyes glimmered with grim determination. Humanity had built foresight into every node, but even foresight could be manipulated. "Proceed, now," he commanded. Drones penetrated the central nexus, feeding false telemetry and destabilizing nodes. Titan shuddered violently, ice cracking as its own weapons threatened to misfire. This was a gamble. One mistake would cost the entire fleet. Orbital guns misfired. Surface turrets faltered as the drones inserted energy pulses directly into the core. "Sir, the network is struggling to maintain stability," Razek observed. The admiral leaned forward. Humanity's sentinel had centuries of adaptive intelligence, but stress, deception, and precision assault could create openings. "Exploit every hesitation," he commanded. Titan's heartbeat flickered, energy surging erratically through misaligned nodes. For the first time, the Varkans had partial control over the human war machine. The gamble teetered on the edge of catastrophe, but the first threads of victory had emerged. Titan roared, ice cracking violently as orbital and surface weapons fired unpredictably. "Sir, the network is attempting emergency recalibration," Razek said. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Humanity had built centuries of patience and adaptive design, but now the moon was overextending, trying to stabilize chaos. "Coordinate decoys with direct strikes," he ordered. Drones and warships moved in perfect synchronization, exploiting milliseconds of error. Titan's pulse became erratic, nodes misfiring, energy surging unpredictably. The battlefield had become a storm of intelligence, firepower, and improvisation. Surface weapons misfired. Orbital beams roamed space. "Sir, the network is fragmenting under simultaneous assault," Razek reported. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity's sentinel was alive, adaptive, lethal, but intelligence under conflicting stress has limits. "Push all pressure to destabilize nodes," he commanded. Every pulse, every feint, every strike exploited the chaos, forcing Titan to react to multiple threats at once. Ice cracked in massive fissures across the moon. For the first time, the fleet had the upper hand, not complete but significant. Drones reached the innermost nodes, feeding false telemetry and destabilizing the heart of Titan's core. "Sir, the network is faltering," Razek whispered. The admiral's eyes gleamed. Centuries of human strategy and adaptive intelligence were now vulnerable. "Deploy full-spectrum disruptors," he commanded. Energy pulses surged through conduits, misaligning orbital and surface weapons simultaneously. Titan trembled violently. Ice cracking, energy surging in chaotic bursts. The moon's perfect defenses faltered for the first time in millennia, an opportunity the Varkans could exploit to dictate the final terms of engagement. Orbital guns misfired, surface turrets paused, and energy nodes flickered uncontrollably. "Sir, some systems are collapsing under overload," Razek reported. The admiral's jaw tightened. Humanity had built perfection, but even intelligence has breaking points. "Maintain pressure and seize control of remaining nodes," he ordered. Drones and warships acted in unison, exploiting milliseconds of error across Titan's network. The Sentinel trembled, a living weapon destabilized by precision assault. The Varkans were no longer merely fighting for survival. They were shaping the outcome of humanity's first counterstrike platform. Titan shuddered violently, fissures splitting ice, energy nodes misfiring in chaotic bursts. "Sir, the core is collapsing," Razek reported. The admiral's eyes glimmered. Humanity's sentinel had fought for centuries, but even its genius could not withstand the calculated assault. "Seize full control," he commanded. Drones flooded the core with disruptor pulses, feeding false telemetry while overriding remaining orbital and surface systems. Titan roared, weapons firing erratically before finally ceasing in a massive pulse of energy. The moon had been defeated, its centuries of adaptive vengeance reduced to silence. Silence settled over Saturn's rings. "Sir." "It's over," Razek whispered. The admiral exhaled, staring at the still frozen moon. Humanity's sentinel had been alive, aware, and lethal, but the Varkans had prevailed. Energy nodes flickered weakly, systems slowly stabilizing under fleet control. Titan was no longer a weapon of centuries-old vengeance. It had become a resource, a prize, a warning. The admiral allowed himself a grim smile. Humanity had fought to be remembered, but the Varkans had turned that memory into a conquest. Saturn's rings shimmered, silent witness to the first counterstrike reclaimed. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.